I was going over my notes for this episode, and it made me realize that going to game day, getting day drunk, and then passing out at 5:30 with a piece of pizza in hand makes all the stuff that happened last Thursday and Friday seem like it was last year. I had a great time at my first ever college game day, and I got to chill on Sunday with no Patriots game, and there is actually some decent Pirates news going around right now. Let's get into number 181 of HN'P. Recorded in central Pennsylvania in front of a live studio audience with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis. All right, so let's get into baseball first before we get into college game day. MLB actually just signed a new 3-year media deal with Netflix, NBC, and ESPN. Netflix is going to have the opening night Yankees versus Giants game on March 25th. The Home Run Derby, that's going to be nice. And then the Field of Dreams game is also going to be on MLB or on Netflix. For NBC, this is going to be the first time that MLB has been on NBC since 2000. Now, unfortunately, Sunday Night Baseball and all wild card games will exclusively be on NBC and NBCSN and Peacock. Ugh, we hate Peacock here. But yeah, NBC gets a huge chunk of this deal. And then for ESPN, they'll air a 30-game package each season. And then fans will be able to purchase MLB TV through the ESPN app to watch their favorite team outside of their home television territory. This might be a viable option for watching the Pirates. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it a little bit. But then also exclusive broadcast of the second half opener and the Little League Classic. I think this is pretty cool, but we're not going to have baseball in 2027, so this may as well be your 2-year deal with the gap year in between. All right, like I said last week, we're going to be going over the MLB awards just real quick here. Not much of this was surprising, but there was one that I was a little bit bummed out about. Okay, so Nick Kurtz won the AL Rookie of the Year after having arguably the best single game performance by a batter ever. That wasn't surprising. And then Drake Baldwin won in the NL. I had never heard of him, but just judging by the stat line, he seems to be another staple that Atlanta has found in their lineup. All right, for Cy Young, I said last week that Skeens would be winning his first Cy Young. He did win it, but what I did not expect was that he won it unanimously. Oh my God. Let's go. And he made a very concerted effort to look happy. Huge difference from last year when he won Rookie of the Year.
Paul Skeens, congratulations. He is your National League Cy Young Award winner.
And of course, you know that he had to put celebratory glizzies on the roller. Oh man. Congratulations, Paul Skeens. Let's go. In the AL, Scooble won it for his second Cy Young. That wasn't surprising at all. What was probably the most obvious one, though, was that Ohtani won his 4th MVP award in the NL. This was his 4th unanimous MVP and 3rd in a row. That's insane. Ohtani was the first to win multiple in each league. And for the AL, the one that I'm a little bit bummed out about was that Judge won over Big Dumper. But it was not that surprising at all. As much as I wanted our beloved Big Dumper to take home the MVP, Judge had the 46th best season by OPS Plus at 215. Last year, he had the 27th best season at 225. And Cal didn't even crack the top 500 by OPS Plus. OPS Plus is on-base plus slugging adjusted for ballpark. Basically, when you see a plus, that means that it's adjusted for wherever they play. So that even takes into account Raley hitting so many home runs in Seattle and Judge having that short porch at Yankee Stadium. Judge is actually in a tie for 5th all-time in OPS Plus with Lou Gehrig. And Judge deserves every bit of this MVP. Honestly, he's probably the best hitter I've ever been able to see from start to finish. And Soto actually isn't that far behind, and the way he racks up OPS Plus with walks can be sustained a lot longer than a pure power hitter. Not that Judge doesn't draw a lot of walks, but Soto is the best at it. All right, we got some free agent news here. Well, so much for Shota Imanaga being a free agent. He accepted the Cubs qualifying offer and will stay and will stay there another year. Maybe they just did that so that he could get a pay raise. It's almost $9 million more for the qualifying offer. So that's kind of crazy that the Cubs gave him a pay raise and are willing to let him walk 2 years early without a likelihood of getting anything in return. If the club would have just said yes to the option, they could have had him through 2028 for only $16 million a year. All right, so speaking of letting him walk, the Rule 5 draft was on Tuesday, so the Pirates had to add some prospects to the 40-man roster to save them from other teams. I don't know if I've ever gone over the rule of the Rule 5 draft, but after a certain amount of time in the minor leagues, if you're not added to the 40-man roster, there's a draft every year where those players that weren't added are eligible to be drafted by other teams in a 2-round mini draft. It essentially keeps teams from hoarding prospects. That essentially keeps them from not being able to leave the team at all. The Pirates added 2 Valdez's, Emmanuel and Esmerlin. They added Brannigan and then 3 of their best pitchers in the minors that will probably make the team a little bit down the road. Now, along with those additions, the Pirates also had to boot some players off the 40-man roster, and one of them was Colin Holderman. Let's go. He was the reason for about 75% of my bitching when it came to the Pirates not being able to win games the past 2 years. He sucked in 2024, was bad in the first half of 25, got sent down to the minors, and then came back up and was below average. So that is extremely good news for the Pirates. And also some very encouraging news, maybe. Cautionary, encouraging news. The Pirates are maybe actually trying to spend. The first big free agent signing happened this weekend with Josh Naylor going back to the Mariners on a 5-year, $92.5 million deal. And according to Jeff Passan, the Pirates offered upward of $78 million over 5 years, which would be the longest and largest free agent contract ever given out in Pirates history by, in terms of money, double the amount. The largest they've gave out is 3 years, $36 million to Ivan Nova. So yeah, they missed out on him, but they're also reportedly in on Kyle Schwarber, which would be insane. They must have watched College Game Day on Saturday. The Pirates did. Yes. Oh, College Game Day. Let's get into it. I went to College Game Day in Pittsburgh this past weekend, and the reason I say that the Pirates must have watched College Game Day is that there was a whole section about Bob Nutting needing to spend more money, and there was a sell the team chant that broke out because there was a sign flying behind an airplane going around all morning that said, "Set Pittsburgh free, Bob. Sell the team. Let's go." It's getting national headlines now. It's breaking into other sports. Baseball never breaks into other sports, let alone the Bob Nutting doesn't spend tagline. That never makes it into the mainstream media, but here we are on Saturday. Oh, it was awesome, and especially to be in the crowd when they were chanting that. So yes, this was my sign. Pierogis are just Trojan horses for potatoes, with a picture of a pierogi and all of the little ND logos in the middle of it. Classic. Oh my God. Right when we got out of the Uber, we got there around like 9:10, 9:15-ish. Right when we got out, after I zip tied it to the sign, someone asked to take a picture of it, and I was like, yes, already. We didn't even get to the crowd. That was certainly validating, that's for sure. Oh, I actually can be funny when it matters? Yeah, that's right. Actually, one lady that went to take a picture of it, I pulled it down so that she could get a better view, and she was like, "Oh no, don't do that. We're Bills fans. We don't want you in the picture," because I was wearing all of my Patriot stuff in the Christian Gonzalez jersey, which actually was getting a lot of compliments. People were like tapping me on the shoulder being like, "Hey, really good jersey, man. Like the Patriots are doing super well this year." So it was just awesome being in the crowd, talking to everyone. We stayed there right up until they went over for the kickoff. The kickoff was a little bit closer to the stadium, and we didn't actually get tickets to go in because they were like $150. And I was like, no, there's no chance. $150 to sit in the upper bowl and to spend all that money on beer at the stadium. Me and John just went to the Tom's Watch Bar right down the street. Yeah, we were lucky enough to get there and get a seat at the bar right as the kick happened. And man, he shanked that $1 million kick. That was bad. That was really, really, really bad. So yeah, we stayed at Tom's Watch Bar until like 3 o'clock. Then we went to McFadden's, which was right down the road. It's right next to PNC Park. Usually people go to McFadden's after Pirates games. And then we went to the Yard, where actually we left the Yard, got to the point where the Uber was going to pick us up. And John looks at me. He's like, "Dude, where's the sign?" And I'm like, "Oh no." Actually, I didn't even say a word. I turned around, started walking right back, and John was like, dude, you're gonna miss the Uber. I said, I don't care. I want that sign. Actually, managed to make it back there. They kept it. They didn't throw it away right away. And I was able to get back in time for the Uber to pick us up. Thank God, because it was a $50 Uber. What is normally a $25 Uber was $50. That is surge pricing out the ass. So yeah, then after that, of course, I was, just drinking beer the whole time. Got back to the house. I had gotten a pizza the night before, heated up 2 pieces. I guess I passed out with the piece in my hand still. I don't remember doing that at all. That was at 5:30. So I didn't watch any other college football besides what we saw at the bar, but I had a great time. I had an absolutely amazing time. Just, talking shit to other people. Not, playful talking shit, not actually talking shit. I wasn't trying to get beat up in Pittsburgh.
Sweet Caroline, eat shit, Pitt. Nothing has never seemed so good. Eat shit, eat shit. Eat shit.
Now, luckily on Friday night, Disney and Google reached a deal to bring ESPN back to YouTube TV so I could actually record the broadcast and watch it back. And what do you know, right at that 55 minutes and 13-second mark, there it is. It appeared right behind Kirk Herbstreit for a split second. And then for the next hour or so, you could see it pretty well. It was kind of wedged in between Saban and Herbstreit there. That was really my only goal. I am extremely happy that I had a great time, but I am also happy that we did not have to get there at 4 a.m. to get on TV, to get the sign on TV. Yes. Mission accomplished. Hell yes. But okay, let's go over these games that happened. So Friday night, there was a pretty good game there. Clemson at Louisville. Clemson came into Louisville and upset the Cardinals. Oh my God! Louisville missed the last chance field goal, and Clemson won 20-19. Oregon just killed Minnesota 42-13. Ohio State won big. Indiana won big, and then Texas A&M was down 30-3 at halftime. I had completely written off that game, so I was on probably about my 10th beer by the time that Texas A&M started coming back. They put up 21 in the third quarter and then a touchdown in the fourth quarter to pull ahead of South Carolina. And Shane Beamer, oh my God. He was hyping up the crowd going into the tunnel at halftime, basically like Kirk Cousins, you like that? You like that? And then to completely blow the game, and then to have the balls to say this on Tuesday, the 18th. I do know next year at this time, we're going to be sitting here on this Tuesday night watching the playoff rankings to see where we are. You're going to be on the couch. I already know that, getting ready for your last game. That was a monumental collapse, and I know they just extended him through 2030, but my God, he might be on the wrong trajectory. Then we had a pretty big upset in the SEC here. Oklahoma beat Alabama 23-21. And like I said, do not get to watch any of this game. Apparently, Ty Simpson kind of choked hard in clutch time. Georgia beat Texas 35-10. Thank God people can finally shut the fuck up about Texas. It's like the SpongeBob scene. Hey, Patrick, guess what I am? Bad? No, I'm Texas. Texas Tech killed UCF 48-9. Ole Miss took care of Florida. And then Notre Dame, the site of Gameday at Pittsburgh, kind of killed Pittsburgh 37-15. It was 14-0 very fast, and the mood in that bar got very somber pretty quick. I mean, I didn't care, but it was kind of funny watching everyone else just kind of slowly go downhill and start drinking a little bit more and more and more. Emotions go down, drinking went up. BYU came back in a big way against TCU 44-13. Utah killed Baylor 55-28. Miami still won. Georgia Tech almost lost to Boston College. They were down 28-17 going into the fourth quarter. Georgia Tech, I don't know. They got Pittsburgh this weekend, don't they? Oh, we'll see. We will see. USC took care of Iowa 26-21. Michigan won against Northwestern. Virginia beat Duke. Tennessee won. And then, big upset. Navy beat South Florida. The projected champions in that conference have changed every single week that the conference playoff rankings have come out. No one can hold their lead in that American Conference. And right now it's going to be Navy going up against Tulane in the championship game. And then Arizona upset Cincinnati 30-24. Okay, let's see here. How far did Alabama fall? All the way to number 10. They dropped 6 spots. And then everyone else moved up pretty good in between them. But Oklahoma actually jumped Alabama and Notre Dame, so they're there at number 8. Notre Dame stayed put at number 9. Miami up 2, USC up 2, because Texas went all the way down to 17. Please let that be the nail in the coffin. It has to be. And then Tennessee up 3. With Illinois, Missouri, Houston, Tulane, and Arizona State all ranked this week. And it was actually funny. Tulane's coach was like, man, if we're ranked in the top 25, then there must be some bad football going on, because he said that they're average at best. And then for the bracket, all right, still Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Georgia 4 now. They actually get the bye, and I don't know if they wanted the bye necessarily. But then you got Texas Tech up against Tulane, got Notre Dame up against Oklahoma, Ole Miss still going up against Miami somehow. I do not know how they have Miami projected as the winners in the ACC. That still does not make any sense whatsoever. And then Alabama against Oregon in that game. Oh, man. Ooh. I actually really like how this would play out. It would be either... Well, it would be Texas Tech against Georgia. I think that would be a good game. Then Notre Dame or Oklahoma against Ohio State. A Notre Dame Ohio State rematch of the championship game last year would be cool. And then Ole Miss or Miami going up against Texas A&M. And then Alabama or Oregon against Indiana. I would love to see an Oregon-Indiana rematch. And then Alabama-Indiana game might go hard too. So right now, I really like this bracket. I think we have 2 or 3 more rankings to go, so that should be very exciting. Okay, what's on the board for Week 13 here? Mizzou at Oklahoma. That's going to be a good game. And then USC at Oregon. Oh, I'm interested in that one. I am very interested in watching that one. Tulane has to beat Temple to avoid the turnover that's been going on in the American Conference. Michigan, Maryland. Pittsburgh at Georgia Tech. This one, Pitt. Please win this game. It'll get my hopes up for a nice big win, nice big betting win, and then nothing else really. Oh, and 2 more things here before we get moving on to the NFL. James Franklin got a job before Penn State hired another coach. Ow, Franklin to Virginia Tech. What the hell? Penn State and James Franklin recently negotiated his buyout down to $9 million. His contract called for a buyout of $49 billion to be paid through 2031, which could be offset by future earnings at another job. And now that he's at Virginia Tech, that kicks in, and they only owe him $9 million. And then we got some early bowl news. There will be 6 edible Pop-Tarts competing for mouth heaven at the Pop-Tart Bowl this year. Let's get Pop-Tarted in here. Let's get Pop-Tarted in here. Okay, Week 11 of the NFL. Gotta start out the week with the Patriots. The rivalries jerseys looked so good on the field, and there was no inclement weather, but it was 39 with a real feel of 27 degrees. Holy fuck. I'm telling you what, if it would have been snowing in those jerseys, chef's kiss. And this was a great game. I loved this game. Outside of the first drive from the Jets, what the fuck was that, Patriots? The Patriots and giving up touchdowns on the first drive to their opponent go hand in hand for some reason this season. They cannot get into a groove right off the bat. But that was okay because Travion Henderson scored the next 21 points unanswered, and the Patriots ended up winning 27-13, clinching their first winning season in 4 years. Holy shit, I am so happy about this one. 9-2, still leading the AFC. The Broncos are technically ahead of us somehow. But yes, oh my God, you gotta love it. Will Campbell has been awesome, and he was particularly awesome in this game. Mac Hollins has been great. Diggs always coming in the clutch. I love this team, man. I absolutely love this team. The one big thing, though, that came out of this, besides May getting ahead in the MVP race, is that Milton Williams has a high ankle sprain and he was put on IR. He actually wanted to go back into the game, but Vrabel was like, no. You do not need to go back in there against the Jets. So he'll unfortunately be out for the next 4 weeks, and he's eligible to come back, I believe, against the Ravens week 16. Okay, for the Dolphins and Commanders, the Spain game, España. This one went into overtime, and the Dolphins walked it off 16-13. This was the game that was on, though, while I was driving home from Pittsburgh, so obviously I could not pay too close attention to it. For the Bucs and the Bills, until about like halfway through the fourth quarter, this was a game of the year candidate. There were like 9 lead changes in this game, I think they said. But the Bills prevailed. There were 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns from Josh Allen. Let's fucking go. 45.85 fantasy points for him. The Bills won 44-32, and the Bucs are kind of reeling a little bit. Hopefully they get Bucky Irving back this week for him. And excuse me, in this game, what? 394 yards passing for Bryce Young and 30 for 44 in regulation? And he got to 448 yards in overtime? Oh, Bryce Young. Holy shit, that was a masterclass. Panthers, though, still flip-flopping. I don't know which team to believe that they are. And Ted Heroic McMillan had an amazing game. The Panthers won 30-27. They walked it off in overtime, but the Falcons found out that Penix sprained his ACL, but it's the one that tore last time, so he needs a full reconstruction again. The timeline for that is 9 months, so that puts him at like mid-August, right around the season opener. But since he retore it, I feel like it's going to take a little bit extra longer to get healthy for him. It's Kirk Cousins time in Atlanta, baby. All right, Bengals, Steelers. Steelers won 34-12, but we have another spitting controversy, and this one was clearly caught on video, like the whole interaction. Jamar Chase spit a big one at Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey grabbed him by the face mask and then punched him. So the Bengals are playing the Patriots next week, and Jamar Chase is suspended for that game. They just got blown out by the Steelers. This is not going to be good against the Patriots. All right, Texans-Titans. The Texans better hope that Stroud is back next week. How did Davis Mills go from leading the biggest comeback this year to losing a low-scoring game against the Titans? Titans walked it off 16-13. Bears-Vikings, another boring Bears and Vikings game. J.J. McCarthy sucks. He broke 200 yards once this year, and he had to throw the ball 40 yards to do it. It's not surprising that fans are writing him off already. None of Williams, Daniels, May, Nix, or even Penix had ever started that slow, and most of them were on teams much worse than the Vikings. I mean, he has Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, for God's sake. How much more help do you need, J.J. McCarthy? No, I'm not going to call him fucking 9. That's the stupidest nickname ever. The Bears and Broncos are 2 top teams that are always squeaking out wins. The Bears won 19-17. This Packers-Giants game was almost comical. Jameis Winston almost led the Giants to a win, and it would have been the 3rd bad loss for the Packers this year, but good old Jameis threw an interception on the last Giants drive. Packers won 27-20. The Jaguars blew out the Chargers 35-6. This was a combination of the Jags defense having a great game and Justin Herbert having a terrible game. I mean, he was 10 for 18 with only 81 yards passing and an interception. Rams Seahawks, this was supposed to be the game of the week, but it actually, I mean, it wasn't. Not that it was the game of the week, but Darnold had a 4-interception game, and all the Seahawks could do was settle for field goals when they were in range. I could not believe that they were somehow still in the game, 21-19 with 1:41 left, but the Rams pinned the Seahawks at the 1-yard line on an amazing punt. That ended up being the final score, 21-19 Rams. For the 49ers and Cardinals, maybe the 49ers don't have a QB controversy. That throw to Kittle on that touchdown pass was purdy. The 49ers blew out the Cardinals 41-22, but Trey McBride had way too many garbage time points for my liking. He ended up collecting 27.9 points, most of it coming in the fourth quarter. That's because Brissett had an NFL record 47 completions on just 55 passes. That's very impressive. I don't know how they seem to get blown out so bad. I mean, 2 of those were interceptions, but my God, Michael Wilson also had the most receiving yards in the game this year with 185. And the Ravens-Browns, this one was weird. You usually never see a Ravens-Browns game at 425. Like, what the fuck? But Myles Garrett is the first player in NFL history with 12-plus sacks in 6 seasons. That was crazy, and the defense was rocking. That pick six was so unlucky from Lamar. He'll launch the ball that hit his hands right in the air, and then it all seemed to go downhill from there for the Browns. Shedeur had to come in the second half because Dylan Gabriel was being evaluated for a concussion, and Shedeur actually will be starting in his place this weekend. It's already been confirmed. And that's so Shedeur. He got sacked on his first drive and then intercepted on his second drive. Welcome to the NFL. The Ravens had a great play call on the Mark Andrews rushing touchdown where it looked like he was going to go right up the middle on fourth down, but he spun, went around the whole pile, and just went all the way for the touchdown. The Ravens won 23-16. Chiefs-Broncos, I was watching just peripherally, and I just really hoped that the Broncos won this game just to keep the Chiefs out of the goddamn playoffs, or at least to keep them from getting the number 1 seed. Them getting the number 1 seed now is highly unlikely after the Broncos walked it off and they won 22-19. But both teams just struggled on offense. It was a bad game. It was a very bad game. And this game wasn't necessarily bad from the Eagles. It might have been bad from the Lions, but this was another defensive game from the Eagles for 3 games in a row now with not much offense. Gibbs had over 100 yards receiving in the second half to redeem his 2-point first half and finished with 19 points. Goff shitting the bed put May in first place in a lot of categories, mainly accuracy and passing yards, and I really think he deserves the MVP over Stafford. Stafford, just like J.J. McCarthy, well, not just like J.J. McCarthy, but in terms of the weapons that he has, is throwing to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. May is throwing to Diggs and Booty and Pop Douglas. Like, what? Eagles won 16-9. And then on Monday night to finish out the week, the Cowboys beat the Raiders 33-16, and the Cowboys defense was looking pretty decent. But every week that passes, and I heard it a lot this week, that's for sure, the Raiders and Steelers losses hurt more and more. God damn it. Gino should have read back to the haters and tell them he's sorry. All right, before we go over next week's games, I did want to go over the standings last week, but I completely forgot, so let's go over them. The Patriots are still leading in the AFC East at 9-2. The Bills are 2 games behind them. Well, 1.5 games behind them at 7-3. And then for the AFC North, the Steelers are still winning, but they're holding on by a damn thread, especially after Aaron Rodgers broke his left wrist. He has a small fracture in his wrist, and he's pushing hard to play against the Bears. But it might be Mason Rudolph in there starting for him. They have a 1-game lead on the Ravens, who are right behind him at 5-5. The Colts lead the South at 8-2. Jaguars are 2 games behind them at 6-4. The Texans are 5-5 too, actually. And then for the AFC West, the Broncos are 9-2. The Chargers are 7-4. And the Chiefs, you love to see it, in third place this late into the season at 5-5. For the NFC, we got the Eagles leading the NFC East. They are about, oh God, I don't even know what that is. 4 games, 3 1/3 games ahead of the Cowboys. Because the Eagles are 8-2, Cowboys are 4-5-1, so I don't know how that works out. And the NFC North, the Bears are leading at 7-3. The Packers, I believe it's probably a half game. The Bears are probably only a half game over the Packers. That makes sense because the Packers are 6-3-1, Bears are 7-3. Lions are 6-4 after their loss to the Eagles. The Buccaneers lead the NFC South. This one is definitely by only half a game because the Panthers have not had their bye week yet. Buccaneers are 6-4, Panthers are 6-5. That is surprising. I did not think that, especially after getting blown out against the Patriots did not think the Panthers were going to redeem their season as much as they have. In the NFC West, we got the Rams in first place, 1 game ahead of the Seahawks at 8-2, and then Seahawks are 7-3. 49ers are 7-4. So the NFC West and the NFC North are hugely competitive right now. All right, week 12 games. Bills, Texans, Thursday night game? This is the second Thursday night game that the Bills have played in 3 weeks. I'd be kind of pissed if that were my schedule. Like I mentioned, the Patriots are playing the Bengals at the Bengals, and this is going to be a fun one. Hell yes. Oh, Joe Burrow was a full participant in practice today, so apparently he hasn't taken 11 on 11s yet, so he probably won't start the game against the Patriots, but if he does start, they have a much better chance. Steelers, Bears, Giants, Lions, Vikings, Packers, Seahawks, Titans, Colts, Chiefs. Colts, Chiefs, let's go. Okay, all right. Hype for that one. Jets, Ravens, Browns, Raiders, Jags, Cardinals, Eagles, Cowboys. That's always fun. Falcons, Saints. Buccaneers, Rams on Sunday night. Ooh. Please go off, Egbuka. And then this might be a really good game, too. The Panthers at the 49ers on Monday night before Thanksgiving. Yeah, okay. It's going to be a good week of football. Hell yes. All right, the last thing that I wanted to mention here. It was reported last week that according to documents obtained by Seth Wickersham, the NFL filed a grievance with the NFLPA asking the union to stop the annual report cards. No! That is such a huge segment on here every year, or at least it has been the past 2 years. Please do not get rid of the report cards. These owners, oh my God. Oh, we got to pay a little bit more money to keep our players happy. Yeah, no shit. That should be your number one priority. You want to be a shitty owner like the Bengals? Go ahead. But no one's going to like you. Having this stuff be public knowledge helps way more than it hurts. All right, everybody, but that is it for this week. Make sure to leave a like and comment on each video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hoagies and Pierogis is available on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram for clips throughout the week and some updates if need be, like the College Game Day sign. Instagram saw it first that I made the broadcast. And thank you very much, and we'll leave you with this. Munch. Recorded in central Pennsylvania in front of a live studio audience with your host, Ian DiCarlo. This is Hoagies and Pierogis.